Hello, ladies. My first MegaWomen event is happening here in Dallas, Texas. And the details will follow very shortly on all my social media platforms. So what will you expect when you come here to Dallas? You will have free health screenings. You will learn about branding. Somebody is going to pitch their idea and win a prize. But most importantly, one of the things I am passionate about is seeing our young ladies go to the collegiate level. And we're going to have the opportunity to give somebody scholarship in this meeting. So I hope that you will make plans. You will bring your girlfriends, you will share, but you will follow me on social media for all the updates for the first MegaWomen event here in Dallas. I look forward to seeing you ladies. Why? Because we are a hidden economy. What is a kingdom strategist? Does your business or ministry need one? As you know, I like to give you a scripture that describes my guest to you. Genesis 17, verse 6. I will make you extremely fruitful. Your descendants will become many nations, and kings will be among them. I'm excited to introduce my guest today, Dr. Leah Vanterpool. Welcome, Dr. Leah.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it is a pleasure. I am intrigued by all that you do.
Thank you.
But straight out the gate, my friend, one of the titles, you have many titles, and multifaceted. But one of the things that strike me, which I'm intriguing my audience on, is what is a kingdom strategist?
A kingdom strategist is someone who actually takes concepts and they make them material so that you can tangibly see and feel them. Mm-hmm. One of the scriptures that the Lord had really given me a few years ago was the one that said that we sit in heavenly places. Ooh. And so he gives us strategies. And so in giving those strategies, he allows us the opportunity to hear and feel his heart and bring those strategies back into the earth realm, whether it's in business or ministry, mm-hmm. or in our personal lives and family. There is a strategy that God has for our lives. And so as a kingdom strategist, what we do is we take the concept of what God says concerning a person, concerning a business, concerning a ministry, and we put practical parameters around it. We put practical things to it that we can actually pierce this atmosphere and bring it so that it's very tangible for people to experience. And so that's what that's what a kingdom strategist actually does. And so it's very dimensional in what you're doing with it. Yeah. Because you have to be able to hear what God is saying, but you have to also be able to maneuver within the world that we live in.
Because, as you're saying that, the scripture that comes to mind immediately is write the vision, yes, and make it plain. But this is a principle that you do both in the business, in the corporate world, and in the church world. What's the difference in how you set that up?
Well, we understand that, who we are is who we are, exactly, no matter where you place us. And so for years, I'm actually celebrating 30 years in ministry this year. And I've been in the workforce for about 35. And so what I've done is progressively take the principles that I've learned and apply it. They're applicable wherever you put them.
Yes. And so let's talk about the 30 years in ministry, because the strategist didn't just happen.
No.
So 30 years in ministry, you have seen a lot, my love. So what are the changes that has enabled you to be such a strategic person wherever you are placed?
Well, first of all, I think the scripture that says, what you make happen for another man, God will make happen for you.
Yeah.
And so in my earlier years in ministry, I spent a lot of time serving, serving others' visions and really learning on the backside what really happens, what it takes to make a vision come to pass.
Yeah.
And so in doing that, it allowed me the opportunity to really grow and to be educated on what it takes to make a vision come to pass.
Ooh.
And so from servitude, then leadership came into play. And so then I was placed in leadership roles where there were senior leaders. And then eventually the Lord moved me into the role of an apostle, where I'm actually leading the charge with other leaders and teaching them as well. And training them to be the same kingdom strategist, but uniquely to their calling, to what God has placed in them.
Because of that, you have created a global network. So you have to tell us about that.
Yes, I've been traveling for years. I've been to the continent of Africa and several of the nations. I'm originally from the Caribbean, so...
Enough respect, girl. Enough respect.
So we've been all throughout the Caribbean and throughout the U.S. And so even in that, it's building alliances and building bridges with different ministries and different people to be able to get the fulfillment personally, but also for ministry and business as well. So can't leave business out.
No. And I'm sure in all the travels, you're talking about different cultures.
Yes.
Different ways of doing things. So you've got to go in as a strategist, and how do you navigate what they're doing without making it cultural and help them to expand?
I think the key thing is going in with a blank slate. You know the concepts, but you have to go in with a blank slate because we do things differently in the Western as we do as it's done in the Caribbean, as it's done in Africa and other parts of the world. And so it is very intrusive when we go in with our idea of how we're going to do it. And they can others can embrace the concepts without you putting the parameters of culture on it. And so when I go in with a blank slate, and because it's already noted, you know, I'm preceded by what I represent, is easily accepted.
And, you know, that 30 years experience, I'm sure applies, because when you go in, it's not just discerning people, but it's also being able to bring out the gifting in them for the strategy, for the outcome.
Absolutely. And you have to be able to be observant, to look at what the concept is, but you have to observe what's happening and how to tweak it to bring the strategy into play. So you don't just go in with a strategy and say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. You take what's already there and you develop it, which is why we ended up creating the Signet Global University, because the university gave us the opportunity to teach concepts, not only spiritually, but also in business as well.
Yeah. So you have to tell us more about that. You drop these little nuggets. We need to know more about this. So what's in the curriculum?
We have probably about 8 different tracks. Right now we have biblical studies. We have the fivefold, where we learn about the fivefold ministry as a whole. We learn about the prophetic, the apostolic movement. But we also have an administrative track. We have an accounting track. I'm an accountant by trade. And so I'm not only teaching accounting and administration in regards to church, but I'm also teaching it in the workplace as well, the marketplace.
So needed.
Yes.
Because, let's just go a little sidetrack for a minute. The church sometimes has lost the influence in the marketplace because we're so involved in church. But for the growth, we have to be in the marketplace to reap, to bring back into the kingdom. So how do you train them in that mindset? How do you retrain that mindset?
Well, we retrain with that mindset in them understanding, or us teaching the concept that the fivefold they're not titles. They are functions. And so there's a functionality to what it is. So as the apostle, you bring the strategies from heaven into the earth realm as you employ the rest of the fivefold as tacticians. And tacticians take the strategy and they execute in the different areas. And so you have, I say evangelists are born marketers.
Yeah.
They can sell ice to Eskimos.
Yeah.
And so you not only function in that when you are in church, but you have to be able to take, whether you're in business, wherever government, where you have to be able to gather, because that's your function, is to gather and to be able to impart what is needed concerning the kingdom.
Yeah.
And concepts, we don't have to always say a scripture verbatim, but we can use the principle of that scripture and be able to draw those in. So it sits on the principle and the strategy in bringing a person into understanding what it is their purpose is in the earth, and how do they maneuver with it and be able to reach not only the church world, but those that are in the business. And so when we're in church, we're preaching and we've got scriptures, but you can preach in a boardroom without giving us a key text and without giving the points. But you can go in and say, this is our function and this is what we're going to be doing, and outline that for your audience.
You present that so uniquely, that is so simple. But this is what is in your curriculum. This is how you set this up.
Yeah.
And so for the believer that's sitting there,